Ladies and gentlemen, I'm a little late on this. I wanted to give you guys an update, but today was a long day for me. But you guys can see it has been settled. Genshin Impact game developer will be banned from selling loot boxes to teens under 16 without parental consent. Pay a $20 million fine to settle FTC charges. So to all the Genshin cucks, to all the Genshin shills saying that this is misinformation and this is fake news, this isn't real, it's been settled already. The owner already agreed to pay a $20 million fine. It's already been settled. Fucking idiots. The fact that you guys are willing to, the fact that these Genshin shills are willing to refuse to accept facts, and they're willing to live in this like delusional land where, oh, this isn't real, this isn't happening to Genshin. You guys are ridiculous, man. Like, I've never seen a community so eager to protect the company so hard. It's absolutely insane to me. But yeah, it's pretty much confirmed, guys. The owner already agreed to pay the fine, and we're gonna read this whole thing. This is honestly, I feel like nobody should be mad about this. The only thing that some people like, the only thing that we should be complaining about is that they shouldn't be doing this to Genshin Impact only. This should be happening to multiple games. FIFA, Counter-Strike, Seven Deadly Sins Grand Cross, Nino Kuni. This should be happening to every single gacha game because they're all predatory as fuck. But let's go ahead and read this. The maker of the video game Genshin Impact has agreed to pay a $20 million and to block children from under 16 from making in-game purchases without parental consent to settle Federal Trade Commission allegations. The company violated a children's privacy law and deceived children and other users about the real cost of in-game transactions and odds of obtaining rare prizes. Now here's the thing. You know, some people are going around saying that kids are banned from playing Genshin Impact. Not true. They can still play the game, but in order for them to make purchases now, they need parental consent in order for them to make these purchases. So kids can still play the game. It's just that they need their parents' permission now. Genshin Impact deceived children, teens, and other players into spending hundreds of dollars on prizes they stood little chance of winning, said Samuel Levine, director of the FTC's Bureau of Consumer Protection. Companies that deploy these dark pattern tactics will be held accountable if they deceive players, particularly kids and teens, about the true cost of in-game transactions. Once again, Genshin Impact is not the only game that's doing this. Multiple other gacha games are doing this as well. But here's the thing too. We do have to understand that we can't place the blame on these companies 100%. Like, 100% I agree that these companies are scummy as fuck. I'm not going to sit here and defend them. They're definitely scummy for doing these shady practices. But at the same time, we should also hold the parents accountable, because if you're letting your child play gacha games and you're not watching them, it's kind of your fault as well. So we should also hold the parents accountable. It shouldn't just be the company. It should be parents who are allowing their kids to play these predatory games. So it shouldn't just be the company. It should also be parents. A complaint filed by the Department of Justice upon referral from the Commission alleged that Singapore-based Cognisphere Pte. Ltd. and its California-based subsidiary Cognisphere LLC, which do business in the United States as Hoyoverse, actively marketed Genshin Impact to children and collected personal information from them in violation of the Children's Online Privacy Protection Rule. The complaint further charged that Hoyoverse deceived players about the odds of winning particular sought-after 5-star loot box prizes and how much it would cost to open loot boxes to win the prizes. It also alleged that the confusing virtual currency system that players had to navigate to open loot boxes and the marketing and promotion tactics used to entice players to open loot boxes were unfair to children and teenagers. Now, here's the thing though, like, there is a pity system in the game. Once again, not defending Genshin, you guys know I hate the fucking game, but let's be real, there is a pity system, and you can literally count like what your pity is. There's soft pity, there is hard pity. And once again, that's why I'm saying it shouldn't just be the company that we're blaming. We should also blame bad parenting. Parents who are allowing their children to play these predatory games. But I will say, the weapon banner is definitely scummy for sure. I'm pretty sure when the game first came out, there wasn't even a 50-50 on the weapon banner. The weapon banner had no pit. Like, the chance of you getting the weapon you want on the weapon banner was close to impossible. So I will say the weapon banner is definitely predatory. You getting a 4-star character that you want, also predatory as well. But when it comes to pity, you can actually count, you can actually see where you are when it comes to pity, right? Let's say I summon 5 times, 50 pity. But the thing is, in order for you to get information on, how much pity you have, it does take a while. Like you would have to wait, I think, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, or an hour in order for you to, calculate how much pity you have. So I will say, that part is a little sus, but you can count how many pity you have. So it's not really that. I wouldn't say that that part is really predatory when it comes to the pity. Every gotcha game has a pity system. Every single one of them has a pity system. I'll say if they complain about the weapon banner 4-star characters, no, I feel like that would be more of an issue. But them only focusing on 5-star characters, I don't know. Let's continue. Popular among children and teens, Genshin Impact is free to download but has generated significant revenue through the sale of an in-game virtual currency and other content. Players advance in the game by collecting virtual heroes, forming a team, and using heroes' abilities to complete tasks. 5-star heroes are the most desirable to collect given their powers, and it can only be obtained by opening loot boxes, which players can purchase using virtual currency. Once again, Genshin Impact is not the only game that has this bullshit. Every game has this. Alright? Every gacha game has this bullshit. It's not just Genshin Impact. But once again, the reason why they're going after Genshin is because it's Chinese owned. It's made by China, so they're on like a whole banning spree when it comes to Chinese companies. The complaint alleges that Genshin Impact's purchasing process obscures the reality that consumers commonly must spend large amounts of real money to obtain 5-star prizes, and that some children have spent hundreds or even thousands of dollars to win them. That's fucking crazy, bro. Like, that's why I'm saying, like, it's also the parents' fault. Like, why would you let your child do this? Like, you got to pay attention to these kids, man. That's why I'm also holding the parents accountable, bro, because these kids should not be playing gotcha games at all. The complaint alleges that the system is challenging and confusing, particularly for children and teens. Players must exchange real dollars for bundles of virtual currency that then have to be re-exchanged multiple times to open loot boxes, with exchange rates in unusual denominations. This complicated system, according to the complaint, misleads consumers about the amount of money that players spend on loot boxes on an ongoing basis, and the amount of money that players would likely need to spend to obtain certain prizes. However, drives consumer demand for Genshin Impact's loot boxes through several promotional uh, channels inside and outside the game, which advertise that desirable prizes will be available only on a limited basis, according to the complaint. This includes using virtual in-game event banners to promote these limited time prizes and social media influencers to glamorize the excitement of opening loot boxes. So now they're calling out content creators who are essentially like promoting these event banners. That's what they're doing. They're saying this includes using virtual in-game event banners to promote these limited time prizes and social media influencers to glamorize the excitement of opening loot boxes. Very interesting. Seems like they're calling out some of these content creators, man. Pretty much saying that Genshin, they're making, these content creators pretty much glaze the game, and so that, their viewers, their community, they can, summon on these event banners. But like I said, Genshin Impact is not the only game that's doing this. Multiple games do this. It's not just Genshin. Genshin Impact uses anime-style cartoon graphics, bright and colorful animation, and several characters who have the speech or appearance of children to appeal to children. Hoiverse has spent millions of dollars hiring social media influencers, many of whom are popular with children, to promote Genshin Impact to their respective audience on social media platforms including YouTube, TikTok, and the video game streaming site Twitch. The complaint alleges that, the company's event banners and influencer campaigns give players the impression that they will have better odds of obtaining 5-star prizes being promoted than they have in reality. If I'm gonna be real with y'all, only an idiot, right? Only an idiot would fall for this. If you are watching a content creator playing Genshin Impact and they're telling you, hey, This 5-star character is amazing. You should summon for them. Only an idiot would think, oh, you know what? Let me go ahead and summon for this character. I'm definitely gonna get this character. There's gonna be a 100% chance of me obtaining this character. There's gonna be no 50-50, no pity, nothing. I'm gonna get this character. I don't think this is realistic, bro. I'm gonna be real with y'all. This is actually not realistic, bro. Like, everybody knows that it's not easy to get 5-star characters in the game because you might lose 50-50. So I don't know, bro. Only an idiot would think that, getting a 5-star character is gonna be really easy, and only an idiot would fall for the trap and just spend a ton of money. Of course, there are some people who will fall for that trap and spend countless of money, but once again, this doesn't represent the majority, to be honest. Like, I don't know, this part right here, not realistic. The complaint alleges that the company's event banners and influencer campaigns give players the impression that they will have better odds of obtaining the 5-star prize being promoted than they have in reality. I don't think that's the case, man. I just think some people, they just want to get the character so bad, so therefore they just spend money. But of course, you do have kids who are going to play the game and they're going to spend a ton of money without their parents' permission. And we also have the COPPA violations. In addition to unfairly marketing loot boxes to children, the complaint alleges that Hoyoverse failed to comply with the COPPA rule, which requires online services and websites directed to children under 13 to notify parents about the personal information they collect and to obtain verifiable parental consent before collecting and using any personal information collected from children. The complaint alleges that Genshin Impact is a child-directed online service that collects personal information from children under 13 and therefore is required by, I'm just going to say COPPA, to notify parents about the information they collect from children and to obtain their consent for the collection of that personal data. The complaint, however, alleges that even though Hoyoverse was aware that children under 13 were using its service, it continued to collect personal information from children and use it without obtaining parental consent or complying with other COPPA requirements. Okay, so this right here, yeah, this is really bad. This is actually pretty bad. So they're pretty much saying that Hoyoverse was aware that kids were playing the game, right? That kids were spending money on the game, but they still gathered that information. They still collected that information and they didn't say anything, right? So yeah, this is definitely bad for sure. The fact that they knew that kids were spending tons amount of money on the game and they didn't even have parental consent, definitely an issue. However, shared with third-party analytic firms and advertisers' user IDs, as well as a device-related persistent identifiers to track players' progress, purchases, settings, and friends lists, according to the complaint. So it says under proposed order, which must be approved by a federal judge before it can go into effect, Cognisphere PT Ltd and Cognisphere LLC will be required to pay a 20 million monetary penalty and make changes to address the allegations outlined in the complaint. The companies will, okay, so they're pretty much listing the changes. So here are the changes, guys. Prohibited from allowing children under 16 to purchase loot boxes in their video games without a parent's affirmative express consent. So children who are under the age of 16, they no longer have permission to purchase loot boxes without their parents' consent. Prohibited from selling loot boxes using virtual currency without providing an option for consumers to purchase them directly with real money. Prohibited from misrepresenting loot box odds, prices, and features. Required to disclose loot box odds and exchange rates for multi virtual currency. Required to delete any personal information previously collected from children under 13 unless they obtain parental consent to retain such data, and required to comply with COPPA, including its notice and consent requirements. So now they're going to have to comply with COPPA now. The commission vote to refer the complaint and stipulated order to the Department of Justice for filing was 5-0, and there's just a whole bunch of yapping here. So that's pretty much it, man. So yeah, it seems like the owner of Hoyoverse has to pay a $20 million fine, and children under the age of 16 can no longer make in-game purchases without parental consent. That's pretty much the conclusion for this entire lawsuit. So honestly, what do I think about this? Here's the thing. The reason why this is happening is because Genshin is made from a Chinese company, right? And you guys know how the US feels about China. China bad, US good. That's how the US government feels about China. So that's the main reason why they're going after Genshin Impact, because the game is extremely popular and they made a ton of money. I promise y'all, if Genshin Impact didn't make a lot of money and if it wasn't that popular, they would not go after Genshin. But the fact that it's literally the number one, it's like the top gacha game in terms of popularity um and revenue, so therefore they're gonna target it. So I literally don't disagree the fact that, children under the age of 16 should not be, making in-game purchases without parental consent. I agree with this. My only complaint is, why the fuck did it take you guys so long to do this? This has been happening for 4 years. 4 years. Like, it took you guys way too long. And it's kind of weird how they're doing this when, TikTok is about to get banned on Sunday. It's honestly, the timing is weird. But overall, man, I agree. I feel like parents should also be held accountable for this. Like, why would you let your child play a gotcha game, when they're really young? Obvious that, it's really predatory. So parents should also be held accountable. But at the same time, these companies taking advantage over children is definitely disgusting. And the fact that they collected information from these kids and they didn't say anything about it, they continue to collect this information. It really is disgusting. But I'm not surprised. It's Hoyoverse we're talking about. So I'm honestly interested to see, how this affects the future of, HSR, ZZZ, the future of gotcha games in general. Are they going to target every single gotcha game, or is this just gonna apply to Genshin Impact only? I don't know. But tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. But once again, this is officially confirmed. You guys can see it right here. Let me read it one more time for the Genshin cucks before they say misinformation. Genshin Impact game developer will be banned from selling loot boxes to teens under 16 without parental consent. Pay a $20 million fine to settle FTC charges. So that's for all the Genshin cucks who can't comprehend. They don't have, enough IQ to understand what this means. This is for the Genshin cucks. But hope you guys enjoyed this video. Tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. But this is crazy. This is actually crazy. I didn't expect this to happen because it's been 4 years, and now that they're doing this, pretty weird. But once again, how is this going to affect the future of gacha games?